Hey, HR friends, welcome back. We're in the 4-6 emotional 6.5 day sequence, and we're here to talk about day five. Day five is right here in this white rectangle. And as always, we start out by talking about this unseen electromagnetic pattern or the polarity moments that happen within this space time construct. You see, when we broke the mathematical construct of the sentient space time reality we exist in, it allowed us to map out this electromagnetic pattern. Now, it's super important to understand this pattern because, well, we're designed to be defensive. And when this pattern starts to elevate, what it does is it increases the electromagnetics around us, which agitates our design and it makes us want to act in one of two ways. You see, we have a fight or flight defensive mechanism strapped to our bodies. When this pattern elevates, it tries to convince us to run away from our problems or stand up and fight for our problems in hurtful ways. Now, this pattern is actually organizing all of the negative experiences that we're being forced to endure. Once we understand what this is doing to our biology, to our design, and we prepare for these moments so that we don't allow it to manipulate our choices, which makes more stress. You see, if we let this pattern control us, it amplifies the amount of stress that we create. That speeds the aging process and that speeds the rate in which we get future states of disease. So, understanding this pattern helps you slow aging and helps you prevent disease. Now, that's the immediate reason you want to do this. In addition, it eliminates your stress, it makes everything better. Now, we're going to talk about day five here just briefly. Day five is going to be a little bit challenging when this emotional polarity flip starts to happen and it goes on and into the next day and into the next 12-hour sequence, it's definitely going to challenge us. All right. So before we move down here, just remember four and anything above a four is really going to be noticeable. Okay. Does that mean that we're not going to feel it if it's below a four? We absolutely do. But the longer it gets above a four and holds above that four, the harder it is for us to stay calm. Now, when we look at the combined, that's combining the first and third person stress or agitation together. And you can see during this next 24-hour period, we're pretty much dancing at that four and we go above that four up into the six range three different times. So just be aware of that. Right. So let's get down here now and see what those electromagnetic patterns are stopping us from doing. You see, we're supposed to be getting along as an interconnected team. In this sentient space time reality, we're all born sons and daughters. We're all born into families. And the difficulty is it's hard to get along with our families, one, because we're designed to be defensive, and this pattern up here is trying to convince us to fight. Okay. And not only is it hard to get along with our own families, but it's hard for all our families that we share this existence with to agree upon what it is we're supposed to be doing. Now, this is what's supposed to happen. Now that we've broken the math and we can see exactly what creates our existence and what we're supposed to be doing in our existence, it's this easy. We're just supposed to get along as an interconnected team. We're supposed to be able to cooperate with every member, whether older or younger, whether male or female. We're supposed to be able to communicate. We're supposed to be able to help each other alleviate stress. And we're supposed to be focused on a common team objective. Now, the team objective is supposed to be the same for everyone, but because we have different opinions and because our families haven't agreed, we've all been over investing in our own individual and family strategies. Now, what's supposed to be happening is this. Doesn't matter what family you're from, doesn't matter what part of the world you exist in, you should be contributing on a day-to-day basis to make sure that what you do not only helps your family, but helps every family in the world. Same thing at the individual level. Every single day, there has to be something in your routine where you're not only helping yourself, but you're helping the people around you equally. Same thing at the national level. We need everybody within nations working together to strengthen that nation and understanding why they have to get along and lift the other nations up we share this world with. Now, when we balance at those three levels, what we're going to do is we're going to create an interconnected world experience where everybody is equal, everybody has the same opportunity. And when we invest in this balanced strategy, what it also ensures is future generations are going to have something better than what we had. You see, if your routine is truly balanced, if it's what it should be that's going to help everybody, then it means the future is going to be better. And if you're over investing in what makes it good for you or the people you care about now, but if you have everybody do that and it makes the future harder for everyone else, well, then you're out of balance. Now, to help you understand how this works, we really simplified it. Frequency is what allows us to exist. That's what allows us to perceive, just frequencies. Now, these frequencies are connected to everything, including our bodies. And if you're out of balance with the relationships in your life, meaning it's hard for you to get along with certain people, or maybe certain genders, or certain ages, or if you're having problems balancing all four of these so that we leave this world a better place, whichever ones you have the most problem with, well, that's going to tell you where your body specifically is going to have the most problem. So if you're wondering why everybody has different areas that kind of deteriorate or age faster, it has to do with their choices. It has to do with how they get along with teammates, and it has to do with how well they're balancing their routine. And the more unbalanced you are, well, the faster you're going to age and the faster you're going to have disease. So if you wonder why some people live longer and some people live shorter, some people seem to be healthy and some people seem to be very sick, this is what's happening. We just didn't realize that there were governing frequencies. We didn't realize we were in a simulated reality that's trying to teach us how to use moral, balanced choice. Moral choice has to do with it helps everybody. Immoral choice has to do that it only helps limited numbers of people or you yourself. So, this is really about math that helps us understand the importance of mutually beneficial moral relationship. That's how this works. Now, if you happen to be able to balance or at least commit to balancing with every team member, no matter where they live. And if you every day make sure that how you invest your time is going to leave this a better place, and you do this till the last day, this is the reward. You get to transition out of this negative feedback loop. You see, in this space time sentient reality that we're in, there is a negative and a positive way to exist. Think of it like a heaven and a hell. And currently, we're in the negative side or the hell like side. We learn by suffering. If you can learn by the suffering and you don't allow that suffering to stop you from getting along and balancing your routines, then you get to escape it and you get to go to a positive or heaven like atmosphere. Okay. So this math is easy to prove. We lay this all out. We show how these two realities exist, and that's how we make all these predictions. This math is very easy to show you what's happening and why you feel what you feel at certain times. Now, that's what we're going to do now is we're going to move down here and talk about day 5 zoomed in. And when we talk about day 5 zoomed in, it allows us to really zoom in this electromagnetic pattern. And we focus on this combined one because stress is messy. Whether it's first person stress or third person stress, it's going to just add up to stress us out. And when this pattern elevates, that's when you're going to realize that you're getting short with your temper, that it's hard to get along. And what we do is we align the times of every time zones with these peaks and valleys. So to find your time zone offset, you come down here. Once you find your proper offset, this holds for 10 seconds. You screenshot this. Now, that's for people that don't have good internet because we want them to be able to reference this pattern. We want them to know, for example, at 10 a.m., this peak is going to be at its highest right here for this time zone, -6. That's why it's important. Now, if you've got great internet, just go to our homepage, healthreconnected.com. We have a live feed. There's a time bar that progresses through this. And all you have to do is when you feel defensive or you see the people around you getting defensive and it looks like there's going to be some conflict, just check this and you're going to see that it's at one of these peaks. That's how this works. We're being manipulated. We just didn't know it. We're designed to be defensive, so we can't stop this. When this pattern elevates, we will be agitated, but we can prepare for that agitation and not fall victim to them. That's why it's so important for this. Now, don't forget when we talked up there, we talked about this one elevation that stays up this whole period. This is going to be a little bit tougher 24 hours because this is an emotional polarity flip that's happening. So it's really going to polarize people about what's happening in the bigger picture. I'm warning you, don't worry about that. We're supposed to be working together, balancing our routines. We shouldn't be arguing about anything. One side isn't right and one side isn't wrong. We're all wrong right now. Look around if you don't believe me. Our world is not doing well. Our nations are not doing well. And a lot of families and individuals, they're struggling too. We need change, but before we can change, we have to, one, commit to our families, and two, commit to balance. And to do that, you have to be certain that you're in a sentient space-time reality, a mathematical construct. This pattern is going to help you confirm that. So this next 24-hour section, I'd say this is close to red alert. It's getting close to red for sure. And into 6 and 6.5, those days, it's definitely going to be red alert. Now, the second way we prove to you you're in your sentient space-time reality is through these alignments. Now, we're constantly being tested 24/7 with how we get along with our teammates and how balanced our routines are. But these moments in time are when two frequencies that test us are testing us at the same time and they amplify the effect. So when the time bar runs through this, if you feel where these alignments are connected to the quadrants of your body, it's just biofeedback. It's low hanging fruit. We're trying to show you that we can predict where you're going to hurt if you're out of balance. And most of us are out of balance, which means these points right here, this is when you're going to feel that knot come on in your shoulder. This is when you're going to feel your low back pain kick up. This is when you're going to end up tripping on something, falling down and hurting yourself. It's going to be during these amplified moments. Now, does that mean that you can't get hurt or feel bad during other times? Absolutely you can. But these are the times it's most likely and the easiest for you to feel it, and that's why we focus on it. All right, so we're going to start by talking about these PE alignments. There's one for both the space side and the time side. So on the space side, it's an hour and a half long, and this is going to test to see how well we're getting along with the older members of the team. Okay. So the upper part of the body, this has to do with the mature teammates. The lower part of the body, this has to do with the immature teammates. Now, this is going to specifically affect the left upper quadrant. Now, when it comes to teammates, it's this simple. All you have to do is be able to communicate, cooperate, help them alleviate stress, and talk about objective and push each other and organize and how you're going to create a better balanced approach by working together and changing routines together. That's what you have to do. If you're not doing that, if you're having trouble getting along with any member of the team in any of those categories, it means you're going to be out of balance when you're being tested. And specifically, this one's going to make you hurt in the upper left quadrant. All right. So the next one we're going to talk about is this 2.5 hour alignment. This is a P alignment, but this is on the time side. This has to do with routines. Now, again, the bottom of the body, this is smaller routines. Top of the body, these are the larger routines. So this is individual and family, and this is nation and world. Okay. Now, this is going to specifically put pressure on the left lower quadrant if you're out of balance. Now, when it comes to your routines better help everyone equally, and they better leave this world a better place. So if your routine's only helping certain individuals or your family more than others, which means it's not going to help everybody in this world, which means it's going to make it harder for future generations, you're out of balance. The more out of balance and the more you invest in an imbalanced way, the more you're going to have destruction happen in this lower left quadrant. That's just how that works. All right, the next ones we're going to talk about are these MEs up here. Now we're going to start on the space side again, and this ME is going to test the right upper quadrant. Okay, this is an hour and a half. Same thing we talked about before. These are the older people on our team that we're supposed to be getting along with. So older, younger, doesn't matter. We got to communicate. We got to cooperate. We got to alleviate stress, and we got to talk about balancing routines. Any variation of that, the farther away you are from that, the more you're going to hurt this right upper quadrant. All right, so let's keep moving. The next one we're going to talk about is this 2.5 hour alignment. This is the ME on the time side. This has to do with how we're balancing our national perspective. Now, this upper part is both national and world, and they're kind of intertwined. Nations and world, I mean, the same thing here. We're trying to balance at the larger level. I want you to think of it that way. And if your smaller routines and if your larger routines aren't going to leave this place more balanced, it's going to make it harder for future generations. Again, the more unbalanced your approach is and the more unbalanced what you leave behind is, the more you're going to suffer during this present time, especially during this alignment. You're going to feel this in your upper left quadrant. All right, so we've got one last alignment to talk about. It's the strongest one of the day, okay? This is the ME. Now, it's only an hour and a half long, and this is going to test the left lower quadrant. So this is about getting along with younger teammates, okay? This is both the masculine and feminine side here is what you'd want to do. You'd want to be able to get along with males and females. You want to be able to communicate. You want to be able to talk with them about their stress, work your stress out. And again, focus on routines. This is so simple. You're going to hear me say the same thing over and over again because that's how simple it is to understand this. Now, to do it is extremely hard because our emotions, our feelings are trying to trick us into fighting with one another and thinking we're more important and that we don't need to balance. And if you do that, you lose. That's how this works. And this is just the moments in time that it makes us very easy to point out that if you have an unbalanced approach, why it is you hurt and why that certain area of your body hurts. All right, let's keep moving here. So this is the testing sequence for the next 24 hours, and this tells you how many frequencies are going to be testing us at any given time. So as this time bar is progressing, you can see that there is quite a bit going on in this upper left. That's at a 4 or above a 4. If it's above a 4, that's a lot of frequencies. Below a 4, not quite as much. Right upper quadrant, it's at and below the 4. Left lower quadrant starts at the 4, and at the end, it's going to bump up above it. So at the end of this 24 hours, if you start to notice your left lower quadrant more, you're going to see why this is happening. This helps you understand why pain shifts and moves around in the body. Now, the right lower quadrant, that has the least amount of testing going on. So in this next 24 hours, it's not as likely that you're going to be hurting down here. Does it mean you can? It's probable. But the math up here says these ones are going to be tested harder. You're probably going to feel upper left and you're probably going to feel lower left more than anything else. Now, these two charts right here show where the strongest frequencies are. There are many frequencies that are going to test us in this next 24-hour period. These are the 10 strongest. Now, when we look at this, there's no overlap in the upper right quadrant. So if you get upper right quadrant pain, we know you're having trouble with teammates. That's first person perspective. It's not so much with the third person or with your routines. Same thing down here. If you get right lower pain, we know you're having problems with your routine more than you're having trouble balancing with your teammates. Now, when there's overlap like there is on this left side, we want you to document. Our software will help you figure out exactly what's causing it. All you have to do is document when you hurt and where you hurt, and you punch those times in, and our software will tell you exactly what was being tested and why you would have hurt in one area versus another. And this just helps you strategize. Again, don't overthink this. Commit to your team and understand you have to get along with everybody and understand this. You're going to have to change your routine. Every single person in existence is going to have to make a lot of changes because if we don't, things are going to continue to go the way they are. Now, that just helps you understand how these charts won't be that important once you figure this out and once you commit to this. But in the beginning, you might want to have a strategy that gets you feeling good as fast as possible and helps you to slow the processes that you're concerned about. That's why we do this for you. All right, so at the end here, we're just going to talk about what we've done. We've already posted the remaining electromagnetics for 2024. No more mystery. You can come down here, you can look through the summer and fall season. You can see every time that these peaks are going to rise. When this rises, social tension rises. When these fall, social tension falls. So this tells you when our stress is going to happen individually and collectively. Now, we show this to the individual because we want you to overcome your stress. We want you to eliminate the stress that's accelerating your aging and causing your disease. And we want to help you help the people around you do the same thing. Now, when we help tons of people do this, when we get regions and nations of people understanding this pattern, overcoming this pattern, we can smooth out our future. We can actually eliminate a good portion of the stress that's creating all of this chaos around us, and it's going to make this place better for all of us. And it's also going to let us complete the objective. See, we're here to make your life better in the present moment, but we're also here to help you pass what it is we're in, because if you do, you get to go to that mathematical heaven. That's what we're here to help you understand. That's what we're here to help you achieve. Talk to you in the next 24 hours.